Welcome to Perpetual Motion, where we challenge the status quo with powerful conversations that move hearts and minds. I'm your host, Dr. Mo Anderson, and my guest today is Marcy Axelrod, a relationship expert, author, TEDx speaker, and coach who believes we are living in a time of profound meaning crisis. Her mission is to help people move from autopilot to intentional living by learning how to truly show up in relationships with others and with themselves. Welcome, Marcy.
Good morning, Dr. Mo. What an honor to be with you today.
Likewise. You look amazing, and I'm excited. We're going to have an amazing conversation. And let's jump right into the term that you coined, I alluded to earlier. You've said we are living in a meaning crisis. What do you mean by that? And how is it showing up in our relationships today?
It's also a show up crisis.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people have also called it the meta crisis. Yeah, but focusing on meaning specifically right now, how many of us, as we walk around, truly feel that we are living the depth of significance as a human being that we want to, right? How much of our lives actually feel, quote, meaningful? And I want to be really careful here because there are a lot of concepts that swirl around that word: purpose, living a coherent life, living a significant life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mattering, right?
Right.
How much do we feel our life matters? So the bottom line is that the underlying kind of stressors, the anxiety that kind of we carry with us, many of us throughout
Mm-hmm.
our days,
Right.
is not what we're designed to feel. And when you look back, so I study a lot of things. One of the things I keep up with, Dr. Mo, are deathbed wishes.
Mm-hmm.
So people on their deathbed, what is it that they say they wish they had done differently? And two things have been added to this, right? What is commonly known is, I wish I had spent more time with my family and the people who really matter. I wish I'd worked less. I wish I had told the people who matter that I love them. And then the two new ones are, I wish I had lived the life that's right for me, not what society says. Society says you have to do this and have this title and be this way and look this way. But there were things that were significant to me, meaningful to me, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't focus on those. And what that really points to is living an authentic life, right? It's very hard to feel that you have meaning when you're always kind of showing up as something
Right.
and fighting against that. So that's the meaning crisis. There's a lot of statistics around that. Recently, out of the UK, there was a study showing that something like over 85% of people said that they felt their lives were meaningless. I mean,
Yeah.
this is dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I can see it getting worse. I can hear it in conversations with friends and peers. It is, yeah, it's not shocking in light of what's going on in the world today, but it does, tug at my heart and just make me concerned about the future with it being so prevalent now. So I thank you for explaining that. You distinguish between just showing up and truly showing up. What is the difference and why does it matter in our personal and professional lives?
Yeah, there's a big difference. So most of us understand, like, there are levels of showing up, right? You know when you've done it really well, and you know when you look back and think, oh my God, how did I let
Well,
that happen?
and I think just for clarification, just in case someone who has English as a second language or they haven't heard this term before, perhaps we should define what we mean by showing up.
Yes, yes. Showing up. So I define showing up as living in a way that integrates all of us, which means not just ourself, but ourself within our situational experience
Hmm.
and within the kind of more that we all participate in.
Right.
And when you live in all three of our roles, the individualized self, the situationally presencing self, and the self that recognizes that we're changing the world at every moment. And I'm happy to put statistics on that later. You show up differently, right? So it's not just walking into a room. There are layers that I talk about. Which hemisphere of the brain do we use? How are we attending to our moments? What are we thinking? What are we feeling? What are we doing? So showing up has all these layers, but essentially it's living life as nature designed. Getting back to just showing up versus truly. So I just put a simple 1, 2, 3 set of levels on the concept of showing up. Either we're barely there, level 1, we're just showing up, level 2, which is not what you want, or we're truly showing up, level 3. And I'm going to show a quick continuum of this, and I'm going to explain what happens in each level. Barely
Okay.
there is in the red, just showing up is the orange and yellow, and truly showing up is green. What
Right.
ultimately happens, just showing up is like you're walking into a room, you've just gone from one thing to the next, you're in get it done mode. And what's actually happening is that you're using your left hemisphere's attention system and you're kind of partially there, you're superficially there, but then a thought comes in, you're bouncing and you're bouncing out. Your focus isn't deep.
Mhm.
And the way of attending to that moment, Dr. Mo, that shows up for us is basically one of control over, one of like, I need to impact things in a certain way. Our attention sees this much and it totally misses what's our purpose here? What are we doing? And something really important that it misses is it misses the language of someone's body. It misses
Mhm.
the emotion. You're living in your head, not in your heart.
Gotcha.
So you're walking in and you're like, I know that this person in the meeting is, going to take credit for my stuff or give me kind of like one of these, like, I don't need to listen to her. Whatever it is, it's going to diminish how I'm trying to contribute. It feels bad. So we show up in some version of, I deserve better, or I need to be seen as, or what are my other two? I'm lesser than, or I'm better than. And it's these things that take away our authenticity. This is just showing up.
Right.
When you're able to switch into the way of attending that uses our right hemisphere, this is when you notice, geez, so and so looks tired. Oh, that's right. I remember they told me they, just learned this bad news or they're
Mhm.
worried about their child. That's when everything shifts. We move into feeling with someone. We move into enacting care.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the world shows up for us differently and caringly. So this is truly showing up.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll pause there. But I mean, this is when the phone rings and someone says, hey, I thought you might be the right person to help us with this, or we would
Yeah.
love for you to, right?
Yeah,
The
I think people will, respond to you differently. As you were explaining that, I thought of a song my mom used to play all the time when she was house cleaning, and I could kinda tell what kind of mood she was in based on whether it was blues or jazzy or R&B. I could tell what was going on as a kid, and she loved this one particular song, and I don't remember who sings it, but it's "Your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town." And I think we've all had that experience, and not as the giver trying to show up, but as the recipient of being with someone, and you know that they're not really engaged with you. It's not an authentic presence is what I sense you're saying. It's just a body. They're just there, but they're not really showing the concern for the situation or presenting their full self to you, and that's you can feel it. You can't put your finger on it. Their face looks right. They've even if they're my age, they've got the body language down. I don't cross my legs, I don't cross my arms, but
yeah,
my mind is gone, and I hate that because I wanna be present. I wanna be truly showing up, but it does happen, and being on either side of it is not a good feeling. So
Yeah, that's exactly
what
right.
did you start writing? If for those of you who are just listening on audio, she whipped out a sheet of paper and started writing as I was talking. Was my, paraphrasing that bad?
You were excellent. And I love hearing the reflection of how just showing up lives in someone else's mind. That's what you were giving me. You were gifting me your application into language
Mhm.
of how you experience. You said you feel it, right? When there's someone there and they're phoning it in, and you said people fake it well, right? They know the pose, they know how to have an open pose,
Yes.
and to wear a facial expression like a mask.
Right.
Yeah,
Even
but
the
what
eye contact. Know it, 'cause they've done all these tests and they've been to all these classes, and they really teach you how to fake that you're present.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the use of the word. So showing up has a lexicon, right? Because showing up is every moment. It's ruthless and relentless because you can never not be showing up, and it's existential, right?
Yes.
Because it's right now, but it's also across your entire life and the massive legacy that we all live. And the reason I bring this up is because the presencing, notice I don't use being present. I use presencing because this is a present progressive. It is ongoing. It is the flowing river. And even though you can take a photo of the river at that moment, it's never that river in the next moment.
Right,
It's
it's not
flowing.
static.
So let's actually talk about what presencing is,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
I'll tell you what's going on right now, Dr. Mo. As you look at me and you notice other things on your screen, I'm feeling what you're feeling,
Mhm.
right? This is called interpersonal neural synchronization.
Wait, repeat
Literally,
that, please. Interpersonal neural,
synchronization.
Neural, neural, okay.
Right. So literally, if we were in an MRI scanner now looking at each other and we barely know each other, our brain waves would start as two separate minds. And very quickly, I mean, within seconds, the brain waves would start to flow as one, resonate together as a single wave. So it's two waves, but they're doing
Really?
the exact same thing. Now, that's what our brains are doing, but our bodies as well. The chemistry of my body is shifting as I notice and tune into, and those are show up terms that I can show you across the continuum, the show up continuum. As I notice and tune into how you are experiencing me, I'm shifting, experiencing you. So we are not separate anymore. A depth. So what presencing really is this dynamic integratedness of you and I. There's this between space now. So it's neither just a Dr. Mo or just a Marcy Axelrod. There's a Dr. Mo Marcy Axelrod, or there's a
Understand. A
blending.
new creation.
There's a blending that's never existed before. It's an emergent property of
Interesting.
the moment. So, I mean, presencing, it's really important when someone, I want to be more present. I want to listen better. I'm working on mindfulness and meditation. What truly is it? And what it is the creation of something completely new based on not just everything going on in the moment right now, but all of our pasts that we're bringing with us in, right? That are who we are to start with, that we entered the moment with. So just to close out on this point, on the continuum, what I've layered in from barely there,
Mhm.
you're just in your self mode. So your ego's big. There isn't really space for all this presencing. I wouldn't notice how you're showing up,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't be absorbing and then responding to it if I'm just in my self mode. But as I move into my situational role, I start to notice you, and I mean all of you, because I'm using my right hemisphere system of attending, and it feels what you feel. And it
Gotcha.
tells me a depth of trust. Where are we with trust? Where
Mhm.
are we with care? Right. And then as I notice, I tune in And then I start to feel with and enact care. And
Okay.
for the people just listening, I'm showing how you move up the show up continuum from the red into the orange, the yellow, and then into the green. So you asked me, what is truly showing up? It is a state that enables this depth of presencing such that all of a sudden your moment is significant, right? This meaning crisis that we talk about, that's the meaning. That
Got it.
solves the meaning crisis.
We need that. We need that. And again, for those who are listening on audio, which is the majority, we've got a growing presence on YouTube and try to post videos for all of our podcasts now. But Marcy has a book, How We Choose to Show Up, and we'll be chatting about that later. But she's showing me the linear progression of showing up. Kind of reminds me of the meteorologist with the weather, and it becomes more severe, increasingly severe, or in this case, increasingly positive and fulfilling, then the colors change in intensity. So that's a really, really good way to show the progression of showing up. I like that, but I want to make sure everybody knows what we're looking at.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want to get,
I'll
go
send
ahead.
you the slides and you can post them. And yeah, so I'll show you what the charts look like. Very simple, of our three roles and the continuum as we move from barely there to just showing up to truly
Yeah,
showing up.
very nice graphic. Your work emphasizes co-creating
Mhm.
relationships. And in this for this particular question, I want to emphasize the personal relationship because I think some of the various crises we're having are related to our inability to build community or connect with family members. So,
Mhm.
in co-creating relationships, can you break down what that looks like in real life? And I know you've touched on it some, but versus the traditional models of relationships that we often fall into.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I always give very personal examples.
Mhm.
Having lived through something somewhat extreme, I literally had to send my daughter, who's now 15, I had to send her away
Wow.
for 9 months to a level 4 mental health rehabilitation place. And the model of relationship that most of us live with is kind of effectively, you show up and interact with someone. And I mean, it's especially if it's kind of a mother daughter or employee employer,
Mhm.
there's a power dynamic there, and there's often a way of relating where one wants to influence another or another wants to step away and not be influenced. What the applying showing up helps you to recognize: everyone is on the same continuum
Mhm.
at every moment, and everyone's bouncing around even throughout a given day. You might be a morning person, you wake up, you got
Yeah.
a decent
I'm
night of
not.
sleep, you're in the green, you're feeling gratitude just for waking up, and you look around and you say, I'm so lucky to be here.
Mhm.
Maybe there's someone in your home who you say, I'm so lucky to be a partner with this person, or to be a
Right.
parent to this person, or to be a caretaker for this person. And you're noticing the beauty of the sunlight and leaves, right? And then something stresses you, or you notice a certain meeting and you need to be prepared and you don't really have time, or need to get there and it's raining. And then you kind of move into the orange, so we bounce along this all day long. And one of the things that principles of showing up gifts to us is to recognize everyone else is on their continuum as well. And it gives us acceptance, and it gives us patience to interact with them for who they are in a compassionate, loving way.
Mhm.
So I was able to back up and get out of my grief and sadness and say, look, it's not ideal to start to build secure attachment with a 15-year-old. You want to start when they're really, really young. But I wasn't able to give that to her when she was young for various reasons, right? A marriage that didn't work, a lot of moving around, a lot of other things. But it enabled me to accept her for who she is, me for who I am, the process for where we are. And that then lets you feel lighter. And then you can interact with more fun and be more inviting and give the space, not the pressure.
Got it.
Mel Robbins, who wrote the quote on the cover of the book, she talks about let them. So this is a very similar concept. Let them be them, and then let me decide. I know she's on the continuum at all times, and so am I,
Mhm.
right? And I'm going to choose to live into the truth of showing up, which is that even if I seem like I'm not directly addressing her, she's seeing what I do. She's feeling my energy. She's
Mhm.
seeing how I live my life, that I'm always learning and I'm super excited and I'm always giving and I'm always, showing up with care and patience. So anyway, that's some of how showing up will change how we relate.
I like that, and I hope your daughter's better now. I thank you for being
Yes.
so transparent and sharing that. I have a 15-year-old grandson, I have 2 adult sons, and I don't some of my friends who only have daughters think that the relationship with sons is remarkably different, but you love them, you worry about them, you're concerned, they cry, they come to you with stuff. Not now, because I don't wanna hear from them after they listen to this podcast. They are adults with their own families, but I grew up with a sister, and so honestly, it was shocking to me the range of emotions and so forth, because by the time they get to manhood, it's this stoicism and everything's all right. So I had missed that part of it. So I was like, "Oh
Wow.
my goodness, is he crying again? I don't even know what happened." Going through puberty when things are all over the place. And at that point, I wasn't able to understand that my reaction and how we showed up with each other was having such a big impact on them. It just seems like it came from nowhere when in fact we were feeding off of each other and into each other. And now my big thing I say to myself, and I can see you bursting with something, but I'm old, I'm gonna forget this if I don't say it right now. My big thing that I say to myself is that what if this isn't about me? You know, how can I help? What if this isn't about me? Because my assumption for so long was that behavior and things said and done that I didn't like was about me. And now I know, looking back, that when we merge, as you're talking about, I'm not using the right words, but we're bringing a lot of other things with us, and it's not fair to assume that everything is about me.
Love this. So, one of the big things about showing up and the definition of self is that your mirror of self turns outward. And let me explain how. A lot of people think of quote self help, right? And
Right, right.
it's a total farce. Even that word is a total farce because when you think about what the self truly is, the self is in service of. We exist on the planet to be helpful to each other and to the right and to everything that's out there. And I don't want to call it the natural world because
Mhm.
humans are nature. We are the natural world. So how can I be better turns into Dr. Mo, who can you be when you are with me?
I
And
like that.
who can I be when I'm with you? Now all of a sudden, what comes up? You start to think about, well, gee, who do I remind you of? This whole ecosystem. How do I make you feel? Right? Are you able to feel emotionally safe such that you share, you're real, your fears dissipate, right? There is no need to be seen as, or I'm lesser than, or I deserve, or I'm better than, right? So I've done show up research. The global studies, with over 120,000 participants, et cetera, started in 1999. It was more recent research has consistently asked a question of how often do you ask yourself how do I want people to feel in my presence? So what do you, Dr. Mo, think the statistics are about the people who say, really often or like, oh my God, I never ask myself that?
I think most people have probably never asked themselves that because they don't realize the role that they play.
Yes, exactly right. So do you want to know the specific statistic, which is my
Yeah, I
average?
do. You brought the receipts. Come on.
Yeah. So 27% of people say that they routinely think about that. 27.
Mhm.
So we got 73% of people who are on the edge of, I never pretty much like I don't ask myself, how do I want someone to feel in my presence? Yeah. So that's a truly show up question. And if
That's a
I
great
mean,
question.
imagine what the world would be like if instead of this self care, self help, like how can I be better, we actually flip the mirror around and we say, who can you be when you're with me? And I really want to thank Nora Bateson, right? She's the one who she helps us to recognize there's an entire ecology, there's a whole system around us.
Hmm.
And everything comes into play. And if we want the world to show up for us a certain way, we need to show up a certain way to the world. There's this integratedness, and it gets into our situational role, which is what I was demonstrating before about
Right.
you changed me, I changed you, right? So it's all this integrated thing.
So now I got Avatar in my head, and you know how they put their tails together, and how the tree, the root system, which we know is true, the trees all over the world are communicating, but to think of ourselves as integrated is really going to be a big switch for people, because 'cause we've gotten into a great period of individualism and me and my boundaries and all of this, as opposed to,
Right.
who can I be? How can I be to help you be better? Vice versa. I really appreciate that analogy. We're running out of time, and I love this conversation so much. But before we talk about your book, I want to circle back to the deathbed wishes.
Yeah.
And I've had the experience, it was for personal growth, but heartbreaking experience of being with several family members as they passed away on their deathbed. And there is a lot of reflection going on, but we wait so often until then to start asking ourselves those questions. Did I spend enough time with my family? Was I the best version of myself? How can we shift that and ask ourselves, we need to ask ourselves those questions before our deathbed. How do we shift that mindset while we still have time?
Oh, yeah. Well, just
That was a
know
long
your,
question.
no, no, this is easy, right? How can we shift the mindset? Changing behavior is based on what you believe, right? A behavioral approach, a habit based approach, these things really don't work, right?
Mhm,
What do you believe? So I'm going to share with you what I believe to be the truth about how everything shows up. It's not just how humans show up, because trees show up, everything shows up. Racial justice, the school system, a given book, everything shows up. The belief that I believe is going to be the helpful thing to enable everyone to shift without effort
mhm.
is the fact that how you show up to the world is how the world shows up to you. So if you want others to bring compassion first and care and kindness and patience, you show up this way. So Nicholas Christakis, a physician from Yale, actually put numbers on this. The 20 people around us are 45% more likely to do what we do just by virtue of, observing us. We are priming behavior at every moment. But it's not just behavior, because under the behavior is what? Is a belief, is a thought, is an emotion. So all of these things are being projected into the world. Now, those 20 people each have 20 people around them. Now we're up to 400. And they are 25% more likely to do what you do. But then it goes further. So the 20 people around them. So call it your best friend's spouse's cousin who they spend time with is still 10% more likely to do what you do. You
What
will never
what
meet this person.
what do you mean by do what you do? Like exercise or eat, or what do you mean?
That's important things. So these specific studies were done with on things that are clearly quantifiable. So do you vote? Do you go to the gym? Do you drink? Do you smoke? What's your body weight? What other type of risky behaviors do you do? Oh, do you stay married? The things that were tested are so manifold and broad that you can generalize that pretty much everything you do, how you stand, right? The depth of presencing and of attentiveness that you share, it's absorbed by the people around you. And it goes 3 levels deep through society. And I quote this in both of my TED Talks. Anyone can look this up, Nicholas Christakis, or go to my website and ask me, and I'll share these
Yeah, yeah,
references.
we'll have that in the show notes too. And her
Yeah.
TED Talk is great, by the way, guys.
Oh,
Was it
thank you.
TED or TEDx?
It was two TEDx talks. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Which, by the way, as a stutterer, right? There's no um, lack of
Editing.
clarity about like
Okay.
why did someone who grew up stuttering for 10 years decide to give two TED Talks. But that's another thing. Like we all show up based on the trials of our past. And, the book explains this.
Sure, sure. That leads us to my final question before we go, listeners. Marcy has written a wonderful book titled How We Choose to Show Up, which one reviewer called a blueprint for fulfillment. That's really nice. Every author, even myself, would love a blurb like that. Wow. What your book's about, just the cliff notes, and what readers can expect to take away.
Yeah, I mean the basic cliff notes is I've made a diagram out of really what I believe to be the truth about how nature designed human beings to show up.
Mhm.
It explains the three levels of showing up. It explains how you move among them, and it explains not just how to help yourself, but how to help the world show up in the way that we all want, right? Which is peaceful and supportive, so that we are healthy and happy and
Wonderful.
frankly good caretakers of
Yes.
each other and our planet. So that's what the book's about. And it's very pithy, tons of endless examples and interviews to make
Hold
it
it up while
real.
you're talking. Go ahead and show that beautiful cover off. We've
Yeah,
seen the inside of it. There we go.
it became a bestseller. Mel Robbins wrote the quote on the top, and
Right.
obviously it's on
Congratulations
Amazon.
on that
Yeah, thank
cover.
you.
Great cover. Okay, and it's available as I'm sure, ebook, print. Is it also an audiobook?
I haven't done the audiobook, but anyone who wants one, just go to choosetoshowup.com, my website, and let me know because I'll then prioritize it and get it done in the next couple of months.
And
But
the
it's a really quick read, and because it's there's a lot of diagrams,
Mhm,
and so it's really quick to get through because I do things like the book's in color. So
mhm.
I've got highlights that are orange and green, orange for just showing up, green for truly showing up. So it's really quick to.
I love illustrations and diagrams as well, particularly for that type of book. And also, it's on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon. I've got links on my website,
Right. And
choosetoshowup.com.
I said that because Amazon sent me an email recently that they now not only will translate your book into an audiobook, but you can choose the voices. So I'm going to be working on that this week. And I only have one audiobook and I haven't had time to turn them all into audiobooks, but so many people like that option. They're, commuting in various forms. So you can make it a priority, but you don't have to rush to it. You might just go to Amazon or have your folks go and set that up for you.
Dr. Mo, thank you for telling me that. And while we're on the topic of your book, please remind the world and me what impact are you looking to make with your book?
Well, I've actually published 8 books, fiction and nonfiction and self-help, and they're on my website, drmoanderson.com. But I only alluded to it because you said that this is your moment. So folks know where to find me. And I'm also going to ask them to visit your website. And for both of us, like, subscribe, and share this episode, this wonderful, wonderful information. I've learned a lot here. I was not familiar with this concept, and I appreciate you it, digestible and giving us some clear, immediate takeaway. Thank you so much, Marcy.
Absolutely my honor to be with you, Dr. Mo. You are a shining light. You uplift everybody. And if more people were like you, this would be a truly show up world and we would all be healthy and happy.
I am learning to accept compliments, so thank you. And listeners, we're here weekly with wonderful guests like Marcy Axelrod to help with your personal growth, your communication, your wellness, and your relationships. So, again, remember to like, hit that subscribe button, and share with your network. Until next time, be well and be brave. Thank you.